So Dídac, welcome
Sure.
to Intersections, and let's go.
Thank you very much.
So we want to start with understanding who's Dídac. Where are you from, which is a good story in itself.
Sure. Of course. My name is Dídac. I'm Catalan-born Chinese. I was born in Figuerenc, in this place, the Dali Museum, a wonderful city. My parents are from China. They came to Spain around 50 years ago. My mom was earning a PhD, and my father was studying at the university as well. They met, they got married, before coming back to China. Their idea was to spend some years in Europe, travel around, and enjoy a little bit the Spain and the rest of the European countries. But one day they arrived to Figueras, a wonderful place, and they decided to stay here for some years. And this journey has been almost 45, 46 years journey. I was born here. My brother was born here as well. My parents, they started the first restaurant of the first Chinese restaurant of the province of Girona. Back then, we were the very, very, very first non-Caucasian family. When I was a kid, I thought I was the only Chinese boy in the world. And when my mom was teaching me Chinese, Mandarin, I was so annoyed because there's nobody who speaks Chinese, and I'm alone. I'm the only Chinese kid in the world. That's totally useless, I used to say to my mom, because here at school we have to learn Spanish, Catalan, English, French, and then Mandarin, And I used to have a lot of hard time with my school because for me everything was new. Even that I was born here, I was the first guy in, that my education was totally Chinese. We used to speak Mandarin at home, and I had to learn Spanish and Catalan, which was not very easy for me back then. And when I was a kid, I used to play soccer not because I love soccer. I'm more of basketball, as you know.
Yeah.
I love basketball, but when I play soccer, a team sport, I feel myself integrated with the local society. And when I was wearing a Barça jersey, automatically I was, no Asian anymore. I was totally integrated with the local society. And when I was a kid, my dream was to become someday a professional soccer player and play for FC Barcelona. But unfortunately for me, I was very bad playing soccer. I didn't make it for my school team. And since I was 10 years, I had two ideas. The first one is I'm not a sports guy. I'm a geek. So I should follow that path. I start to code. And my second thought was someday I want to become a board member, because when I was a kid, say, if you cannot be the player on the pitch, maybe you can manage the club somehow. And I think since I was 10 years, that was my childhood dream. Mm-hmm.
Very good. So I mean, you accomplished many of those goals, and I believe, and it's the belief of many people in the industry with great success also. And actually, I want to go to those, let's say, goal-setting moments in the childhood. I mean, whenever we are young, and if we are in a balanced household, you are encouraged to dream and find your path, even though you need to go. At least we are from the generation in which we have to go to school, get our degrees, and actually do something proper with our lives. That was the phrase that my grandparents and my father used to say. But in that moment in which, and actually think it links to your entrepreneurial spirit. I know your brother Simon as well. And what was let's say the seed that from the family, the household, you were, let's say, implanted in terms of that entrepreneurial spirit or push that you have?
That's a very good question, because I'm not very sure. I think it was a mix between the fact of having a family business, a restaurant. I used to see my parents working a lot at the restaurant, and when they and during the weekends, I was invited to go to the restaurant to help as a dishwasher. And maybe when I was washing dishes, the inspiration came to me. I think that can be one moment, but there's another moment that, as you may know, I love to collect robots. Mazinger Z is a cartoon that I used to watch when I was a kid. And nowadays I'm collecting those vintage toys. I have like around 400 Mazingers at home. Yeah, I have to set up a museum someday. But when I was watching those cartoons, I got some inspiration, because those guys are building technology, building robots, and they are saving the world from the bad guys. I think the mix between working as a dishwasher and watching the cartoons of Mazinger, this was the mix that seeded my entrepreneurial spirit. After that, I went to university. I went to the engineering school when I was 18 years old. And I think I started to study engineering because my view was, how can I build a software product and sell it globally? That was my thought. But when I got into the engineering school, I realized that there's a huge difference between being an engineer and being a businessman in the engineering business. Of course, that you can be an entrepreneur in a tech startup with an engineering background, of course, but probably my profile was not very like an engineer. I think I'm more a marketing guy rather to a tech guy. And that was totally disappointing for me, because I was totally convinced since I was 10 years that I used to have a tech mindset, but I didn't. And it was very frustrating, because I was not able to become a soccer player. I was not able to become an engineer. So at the age of 20, I was very lost, because I'm a frustrated soccer player and I'm a frustrated engineer. But what I didn't know is, at the end of the day, entrepreneur, the mission of an entrepreneur is to have a vision, to find the resources to make it happen, and find the right people to team up and build something. And this is what I was doing. But I used to have the impostor syndrome, because I say, I'm not the tech guy, I'm not the financial guy, I don't know, I have no clue about marketing. What the hell I'm doing here, And I think I started when my first company, when I was 21, I dropped out, and it was an internet service provider. Yeah, and everything started there, and the reason of that is because At the engineering school, I used to skip the classes. I went to the PC room. We used to have a room with a lot of computers connected with internet, and I discovered internet at university. I said, oh, this is awesome. This is so fun. I should do something with internet. And everything started like this. I started to find the right people, the resources. My vision was to build an internet service company for the province of Girona. And that was my big vision when I was 21. And this is what I've been doing during the last 25 years.
It's not bad. It's not bad. So you're a business engineer, actually.
Well, honestly, I have no clue about what I am, because I think I came from my engineerial background to marketing, then business management, and now I'm into financials. So something that, to be honest with you, I would never expect it, because what the fuck is this, you know? I used to say, well, a sales guy is somebody who cannot be an engineer. So, oh man, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a sales guy, what the fuck I am? And it was a little frustrating, but I think when you are working in something, you are also building your long-term vision as well. Because this was something that I didn't expect it, to be an entrepreneur or investor or whatever.
Yeah. Do you think that in terms of long-term vision and, let's say, objectives or goals, are those fixed, or are those actually designed to be evolving? As long as you keep learning new things and meeting new people, you keep, evolving the goals, right? So you never stop.
Totally, because I think the goals are evolving, because as long as you learn new stuff, you meet new people, you got into new industries, you find new products, new services, you talk to customers, which is the most important thing, you realize that there's other worlds than the world that you expected. Because my first, I came from a frustrated soccer player to a frustrated engineer to a frustrated business manager. And I think I've been, jumping and evolving the profile. Well, I'm making a lot of jokes about it, but
at the time must be difficult to realize and try to find the path, right? Yeah.
Totally, yeah. And so because I'm making a summary of 25 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think as an entrepreneur, I spent 20. The companies that I built 8 companies. I'm the major shareholder, or the first or the second major shareholders of the company. I'm on the board, but I'm not operating the business anymore. We have around 800 people in 8 companies.
Wow.
And around 300 million in revenues, more or less. Yes.
Right.
And as an investor, I've been 5 years during those last 5 years. And as a board member, I didn't make it for become a professional soccer player, but I became board member of FC Barcelona during the last 10 years until 1 month ago. Yeah. And this has been my 25-year journey.
Not bad, not bad. And actually, I think it's also interesting to understand that, the different companies that you have, I mean, I don't know all of them, but I know some of them are different in different industries, in different spaces, or with different underwriting services or products, right? Although every one of those, at least the ones that I know, have let's say, a digital component, let's say, because, probably that's also of your liking. And thinking about those processes in which we bring in journeys, it just popped up in my mind that, something that, my father asked me last year, actually what I do, because actually he knew of a son that went to, the first one wanted to be in the military in the Dominican Republic. That didn't happen. And I went to study economics, and then I did banking and finance, and I've been working in big four firms before my life in sports, right? And all of a sudden I'm talking marketing and partnerships and sports, and he actually wanted to know. And in that conversation, we actually reach a point in which it helped me recognize also that what the university, and especially the economics undergraduate degree, allowed me to was learning how to think and how to read things and how to actually understand things. And that's, you know, something that I've been applying even in sports, right? And actually if you don't mind, I would like to also understand kind of that diversity of businesses, the businesses that you are, you know, a majority or a second majority controlling partner. You know, what is the range of services and products that you are doing?
Sure. All my business are related with internet. I started with internet service provider that evolved to an engineering company. Nowadays, we have around 200 people. The half of the team are engineers. And it's an internet, and we are building internet projects, basically, for the big corporations, for D2C brands, and etc. It's a consultancy firm. They build products, digital products.
Okay.
And then I have an e-commerce company that is a sports e-commerce that is called Rayde, that is with 14 verticals in different outdoor sports like skiing, scuba diving, hiking, etc. Then I have a business school, an online business school. Is a JV, joint venture with Planeta,
right.
And we are doing e-learning about fintech, blockchain, the frontier tech, etc. That is going pretty well. Then I have a company that is related about they do outsource of all the e-commerce processes, the platform, the logistics, etc. And then, well, I think those are my main four, and then I have other four that are in more stealth mode. But I can spend like 2 hours talking about. But my full-time project, my full-time company, is an investing company called Galdana. Is a investment firm that is managing around $1 billion. It started 5 years ago. We are investing the 50% in Silicon Valley, the 30% in China, and the 20% in Europe. Right. Our strategy is very simple, very easy, but it is very extremely complicated to execute. It is that we invest in some of the top VC firms in the world, the typical names of Sun Hill Road, the typical names of Beijing, the typical names of Europe. And our thesis is by investing in the best VC firms, we can have access to the best companies. Because the best entrepreneurs used to tend to look for the best VCs.
Yep.
This is something very easy to understand. It's like if you are a good soccer player and you are young, probably your first choice is going to Barça or Real Madrid, depending on what's your team. If Barça or Real Madrid doesn't take you, probably you will look for, I don't know, Manchester or PSG or whatever. So the brand has the capacity of attract the best talent. And this is happening with venture capital. And investing in the top brands, you can invest in the best entrepreneurs. But the problem is that the most of those brands, very well-known brands, are extremely complicated to invest. because they are totally oversubscribed, and they select very carefully their investors. And that's my job, is to try to invest in the best firms in the world.
So
Yeah.
it's interesting. I never thought of it like that. And actually, so evidently the biggest firms are very selective with the capital that they intake and with the target investors or entrepreneurs or investments, right? And your job is to actually convincing them to take your money and to allow you to participate into those great investment opportunities that they have, right? So
That's right.
it's a double sale, actually.
Double sale. And when I have to explain that to my mom, she said, Dídac, you are traveling around the world. You are trying to ask the people to let you invest that amount of money in their funds. Yeah, she cannot understand, because from the rational point of view, say, well, if you want to invest in somebody, this somebody will be very happy to be invested
to receive your money, right?
Yeah, but no, it's not that. No, it's like getting a ticket for the Super Bowl. That probably there's a lot of people who are willing to pay, but the number of tickets are totally limited, and it's very hard to get tickets. And that's my job.
No, definitely. No, now that you touch on your travel, which I mean, evidently this year has been a very awkward year because we are not traveling as much or nothing at all, basically. What's the day to day for you? So when you woke up and you go out of your house and go to the office, what's the day of Dídac the investor and Dídac the entrepreneur? How that comprises?
I think no matter what your job, and that human relationships are very, very, very important. In my case, in the investment world, the most important is the human relationships. And sometimes you can have a Zoom to catch up with somebody that you are working with, or sometimes you can have a call. But when you are trying to build a relationship, probably Zoom is not enough. That's why I spend all my time meeting people. During this year has been more complicated. My focus has been spending more time with the relationship that I already developed by Zoom or phone calls or whatever. But when I'm working, I try to meet the people, and because the relations matters, and especially in the because this is about trust. It's very complicated to build a relationship from a Zoom. Even that there's so many success stories, but I prefer to be there. And sometimes I took a plane, I flew to Hong Kong just to have a lunch or a dinner, and then I come back.
I remember that.
Yeah, which it can this sounds very interesting and very fun, but it's not, because it's not because this is not travel. This is a total pain and for your body, because it's not healthy. You spend flying 2 days and stay in the place for 1 day or less than 1 day, and you are totally jet lagged. This is not good, but this is something that is very important.
Yeah, to build that relationship, and actually that is what shows that that you care to invest in that relationship, in business relationship, and that's
totally
important. Definitely. So shifting gears a little bit, and I want to speak a little bit with you from the entrepreneurial mindset and how you apply that to your experience in Barça, especially in terms of the digital transformation of the club and the digital business. It was a childhood dream for you, but it wasn't enough for the Dídac that I know to just be there and present. I mean, you needed to actually be able to to contribute with your network, with your knowledge, with your way of seeing things on how your beloved club will actually evolve and continue to function even when you are not there. So if you might take us a little bit
Sure.
through that process on how that came to be, and before that, I actually want to make that comment, which we actually met around 4.5 years ago in a panel that we shared about sports technology and different things. And at that time, you weren't precisely handling the digital aspect of the club. You were taking care of the foundation and other things as well. But I wanted to understand more about that part on when you assembled a wonderful digital team and how you rebuild that side of the business.
Sure. Well, I think to be an entrepreneur is a mindset. A lot of people believe that to be an entrepreneur is somebody who builds a startup or a company or whatever. For me, an entrepreneur is somebody who turns an idea to a reality, assuming a risk. And when I came to the board 10 years and a half ago, I have like two choices. The first one was to be there, to be board member and to go to the activities, the social activities of the club, and be there. But this was not the idea that I had, because when you are board member at FC Barcelona, this club is owned by its members, and every 6 years there's elections. Every board member can be an institutional representative of the club, or can be more like an executive. In my case, I wanted to make an impact. I wanted to do something meaningful. But to be honest with you, the only thing that I can build was the digital, because I cannot do anything else, unfortunately. So 10 years and a half ago, I went to a board meeting and explained my colleagues that we all know that Barça is a global brand, but that's not enough. We should engage with our fans, and we should to build a relationship with our fans. And the only way to do that is digital. This 10 years and a half ago was something totally new, because for then iPhone just have 11 years, more or less. Barça has no social accounts, or it was just starting the social accounts. If you had Twitter, you would be perceived as a geek of the room, like somebody strange. This guy has Twitter, when Twitter has nothing to do with technology or to be a geek. It's about communications and information and people relationships. And so that was my vision. It was very, very hard, because probably I was the youngest board member in the board. And when I left, I was still the youngest board member of the board, or not the youngest, but the second or the third. Because normally the board are composed by people from the local establishments in their 50s, 60s. It's another kind of profile. So my vision was to globalize the Barça brand using digital to engage with our fan base. And the first step was to work a lot in social media, which was not obvious for them. And then after that, I started to develop premium content. We started with sports content, and later on, we started with more entertainment content to engage with our fans. And the third step was to monetize all those content, and there's several ways to do that. And as an entrepreneur, probably to have the right mindset to fight against the odds, fight against the incumbents, make the things happen. is something that has been very helpful for me, because it's not obvious to build that a new area in a sports club, and when you are the first one to do that. I remember that the other clubs in the world in soccer, especially in the European, they took like 3-4 years to start. When they realized that we were building that, at the beginning they were very skeptical, but in 3-4 years, when we started to have significant fan base, and you can use the fan base for attract sponsors. When we visit potential sponsors, yeah, we have those followers on social media, and our competitors, they have the house. So automatically you can monetize it in the mindset or in the mind of a potential sponsor. They say, oh, those guys are the double than their competitors. So to me, and as a board member of Digital, I've been working a lot in my day by day, and my concern was to build a top tier team, to find those professionals from other industries, mainly from the marketing and entertainment industry, to join them and to build something together. And this is not obvious, because there's very few sports digital professionals. This is something that is very new, that it started. You are one of the pioneers of the industry. Well, I remember when we met, but when we met 4 years ago, we got a conversation, we are permanently recruiting people because there's nobody, maybe we need 100 people.
Yeah.
And in Barcelona, probably there's 20. And yeah, this was something that was starting. This is a pretty new industry. So this is something that personally I'm very excited, especially for the youngsters when they want to what can I do when I grow up? Sports, digital sports, sports marketing, digital sport business. I think it's a trend that is growing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And actually, you probably heard this also 1,000 times, like myself, in terms of the NBA, which is one of the properties that actually does it better globally. They say that they came to that realization that you are explaining, in terms that they know that 99% of their fans will never set foot in an NBA arena in the US. Everyone else will actually consume the product digitally, from abroad or from afar. And actually, you need to have a robust platform to be able to actually engage and then monetize. And now,
Totally.
what you see now in sports marketing is that conversation, which, sports is a very, let's say, static industry, even though people might not think so, and especially other sports and others are more conservative in that change, but everyone will eventually change. Is that right now the ones that have pioneered, like the NBA or the Barça under your tenure, now all of the industry is looking at what comes next. And in terms of sports marketing or sponsorship, actually, it is about performance-based deals. It's about actually not only showing the followers, but showing the engagement and showing brands specifically how you can engage with their potential consumers. And actually, that needs investment, needs time, needs a lot of talent. And as you say, that's scarce. But actually, that's the way in which the industry will evolve. And actually, I'm very happy that you mentioned that, because that's part of different conversations that I have with other friends or colleagues and clients. And actually, that's the, let's say, we need to look ourselves as part of entertainment. And if there's a Netflix that disrupted the content game and the movie game and the movie industry, it is actually a matter of time before sports receives that shock. Everyone now is running to have their own OTT and having their own series and whatever, and now we'll see how quality will actually balance that out. But actually, that is the game right now. And linking it to that, and I suppose that, you know, over your long tenure in 25 years of career, you've met, you know, wonderful entrepreneurs, wonderful investors that actually are very savvy people. What could you say were, you know, 2 or 3 key learnings from other industries in which you are an investor or an advisor that you see that it's applicable to the sports industry in terms of, you know, these are the things that the sports industry needs to be thinking of right now?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think one key learning is that if you want to increase your business, you have to increase your market, which is very obvious. But what is happening with sports? I think sports, in case of Barça, pre-COVID, we were the top #1 club in the world in terms of revenues. When you're the #1, probably it's very complicated to double your revenue or triple your revenues, you know, because you are topping, you know, the cap
There's
is
a ceiling, yeah.
Yeah, so we ask ourselves, how can we increase our market? Because say, you know, the stadium has a limited number of seats and is very optimized. The TV rights, we are the #1 in the world. You know, we are not going to get paid the double or triple with that, no? The merchandising is limited, you know, because there's a lot of logistics and it's limited. So how can we increase our market? That's when we try to jump into the entertainment world, because the sport market probably, let's say, is this. Entertainment world is like this. Okay, we are into the entertainment world, but what is the reality? The reality is that you have 2 games per week in the best, and every game is 90 minutes. Probably you can talk the day before and the day after, but that's it. And you see that all the attention are, especially of the young generations, are going to video games, Netflix, YouTube streamers that is 24/7. And we have a limitation, and those players into the entertainment business doesn't have those limitations. That's why when we jump from the entertainment to content, premium content, and content not related with sports, but related with our brand. Because how can we develop new content related with Barça, but non-sports? And we are producing a TV show that talks about the backstage, the match day. That is very pretty obvious, because it's related with not sport, but it's related. And we sold this TV show to Netflix in Latin America, and it's been one of the top 3 most viewed content during the last month. And that's very disruptive, because a sports club developing a premium content, selling it to Netflix, and becoming top 3 ahead of TV shows like, I don't know, Money Heist, which is an amazing show. No? Yeah, that's amazing. That's disruptive. Or we produce a cartoon for kids. Probably it's branded with Barça, but you know, it doesn't matter if you like soccer or not, or if you are a Barça supporter or not. Those cartoons are nice, and it's a great way to sell new content. Is a great opportunity to produce new merchandising with the toys, with the merch. We produce a fiction TV show with Albert Espinosa, that is a top author in Spain. He wrote a TV show called Pulseras Vermellas that Steven Spielberg bought the rights for US. He's an amazing guy. And we are producing a TV show called La Masia, and it will be about a young guy that joined La Masia, our youth academy. And the TV show every season will be how this player will evolve until jump into the first team. So I think at least we can have 10 seasons, at least.
That's for sure.
And yeah, I mean, I think with this is how using our brands, we can leveraging on our brand, we can produce new businesses that were not expected. No? So the learning is increase your market if you want to increase your revenue. And sometimes the way to do it is non-obvious. Because I remember that the first time that I shared the idea of producing a fiction TV show, my colleagues were, what are you saying? It's not our core business to produce culebrones. I don't know how to say culebrones.
Yeah, so popular.
It's not our core business, but probably it will be our core business because, in my opinion, all the sports companies will became content companies and data companies as well. I think, the world is going very hybrid. When we were younger, it was very clear if you are lawyer, if you are a sports guy, or if you are an accountant. Nowadays, everything's going to be hybrid, and there's a mix of industries.
Yeah, definitely. It's this hyphenated, multi-hyphenated approach in which you are a marketer, but you probably are a gamer, and probably you are a musician, and you actually excel at the three of them at the same time. So and that's the audience, and those
you're going to monetize selling your merchandising. Yeah, correct. That's it.
Correct.
I think the YouTubers are the perfect example of that. Because they are they do everything.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's exactly that. A few years ago, when I was working full time at the EuroLeague, we didn't have the that long-term vision yet on how we wanted to do things, but we knew that we needed to expand beyond our boundaries, right? And I remember that we commissioned an ESPN in New York to actually develop a series, what's called Basketball Capitals, that we shot in Istanbul, Athens in Greece, Madrid in Spain, and Berlin in Germany. And was kind of how fans enjoy basketball in those cities, right? It was very much to the core of the product, but was more to telling a different story, what producers call shoulder programming, or the game around the game, right? That is the goal. If you are into the content game, that you need to produce evergreen content, so content that like the one you find on Netflix, that everyone can find any day of the week, and they just can watch it because it's enjoyable. Sports doesn't have that luxury, because sports is inherently live. So you would need to watch the game to have the full enjoyment of it. You need to see the game live, see the result, and that's how you fulfill that enjoyment. And that lasts probably 24 hours after. Afterwards, it's all news. So you need to be able to do that. And actually, I think that that's something that will definitely yield in the mid to long term a lot of success for the club, and actually in general for the industry, because I think people is taking note, and they are following the Barça way in that regard. So and I think you touched a little bit on that in terms of the industry, the media industry. Actually, now that we see it from above, in terms of you have sports, you have music, you have theater, cinema, and whatever. It is quite complex now to navigate, because we have probably more choice than in the history of mankind in terms of what we can consume. So how important it is for a brand that will go into the content game, or basically that is forced to go into the content game to continue to be relevant, to do a proper brand building process. I have my opinion in terms of Barça Mezcum Club, and how that actually it is from 10-12 years ago continues to be relevant, and is actually at the center of all of that you built. I wanted to have your take on that.
I'm not sure if I understood the question. Yes.
What is the importance of the brand building process of the Barça brand to be able to be strong enough and multi-layered enough to be able to boost all that.
Okay. Because it's quite complex, right? Yeah. Well, probably I'm not going to say anything that is new, but for the sports industry, it was new because the soccer industry in Europe has been professionalized for the last 15 years, no more. Before that, all the sports properties in Europe were managed in a more amateur way. For me, the most important is to understand that every single sports brand in the world should have a narrative, its own narrative. What makes you unique? What is unique of Barça? What is unique with Liverpool? What is unique with Galatasaray or Real Madrid or wherever? What makes you unique? In our case, in Barça, our claim is more than a club. More than a club there's a lot of meanings. There's a political meaning, there's an identity meaning. Some of my friends, they believe that Barça is más que un club because we have different sports sections. It's okay. It's because we have a foundation. So the Barça always aims to be more than a sports club. Whatever it means, because there's a lot of meanings. So in the case of Barça, we aim more to be more than a club, and it's very important to identify which are our values. In the case of Barça, we have several values: humility, teamwork, respect, ambition, etc., etc. And no matter what you do, but if you have clearly identified your values, and no matter if you do a cartoon, you do a fiction show, or you do whatever, the values of the brand should be around always. And I think to have the learning that I got is to have your unique selling proposition, because everybody have a unique selling proposition, because no matter what it is, but it's important to have one. And the second is to have identified very clearly your values and stick on that. Everything that you produce, you have to build that with the values. In the case of Barça, we are producing premium content with Barça Studios. And all the content with Barça should follow a style book of the several values that we have. And that's why our cartoons for kids are inclusive, gender equality, talks about teamwork, diversity. And I think that's wonderful because we choose this. If another club choose that they want to be the more ecological club in the world for any reason, they should speak on that. And I think that's the key is to keep the brand promise alive, no matter what you do.
No, definitely. Actually, to link it with a previous episode, the one that actually just finished, the last season that we did of these conversations, John Rodriguez, which is actually a good friend, and he works for Steve Stout's advertising agency in New York. Actually, he was telling that it's not about to be to be true to your brand, but to be consistent with your brand. That's what you need to be in order to have that presence in the market that you need to have to succeed. So actually, we're approaching the hour. I don't want to take more of your time, but now that we are finishing the year, this episode will be aired at the beginning of 2021. But it has been a complicated year, but probably it has been the year in the history of mankind in which digital solutions or digital whatever has been put more in manifest. Is there anything in terms of new trends towards digital content or digital marketing or digital tools that has you excited in terms of what might come in the future out of this pandemic process, let's say?
The virtual reality, I think that's the next big thing in sports. I'm totally convinced. I hope the Euroleague will have virtual reality soon. We got a conversation about it.
It is on the work. It is on the works.
Yeah, I'm totally excited because I think in soccer it's different, but in basketball it's important where you're seated. It's not the same to be seated in the front row than
in the nosebleeds.
Yeah, in soccer is different, I think this will make a big impact. I'm very excited with VR applied to sports.
No, that's going to be an interesting thing to see. Now, in finalizing, in closing, actually, I wanted to go a bit back to the beginning, but for specific topics. Which I know that you are, basically a fan and ambassador for it. I mean, you mentioned a little bit that, your sports passion is actually basketball. I know that you are one of the most savviest and most able, hip hop fans that I know here in Spain. And I know that you have a deep love for fast food. So I want you to, to take us into, how that came to fruition in your life, basketball, hip hop, and fast food, and then we'll take it for another spin.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day is do what you love. The greatness of the social network is that you can share what your passions, and you can connect with people that probably you cannot connect in other ways. Mm-hmm. So, sometimes my colleagues, they ask me, how you became friend of that guy? Yeah, because we are both on social networks, and this guy can be the best investor in the Silicon Valley, but he's a soccer fan, or he's a basketball fan, or he loves outdoor sports. And I think it's good to share. And when you share, this can bring you to very unknown paths in your life.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. And actually, I think that those passion points are very, similar to mine and to many people that we know in common. In basketball and hip hop, they actually, share a cultural code that is on the dressing, on the way of being, and the philosophy of life, right? And actually, it's refreshing when you see people that actually you didn't expect. When the first time we met, that you will be so much of a basketball fan, or evidently such a hip hop fan. I mean, that actually blew my mind, because that's also, as you say, the beauty of sharing and getting to know people's likings. And one last thing, because I think that I owe you that, is that now whenever I go to the supermarket, in the fruits and vegetables section, you are making me look to see from where the onions are. And I had written down here that if I have you one time here in the podcast, I will want you to have this 10-second elevator pitch on the Figueres onion, la cebolla de Figueres.
Sure. To be honest with you, when I was a kid, I thought that all the onions in the world were exactly the same. But I didn't realize that the sweetest, the healthiest, the most tasteful onions in the world are from Figueres. And there's a denomination called the onion from Figueres that is totally different. Figuerenc is this place where the Dali Museum and the Onion and it's a good idea to buy onion from Figueras.
I actually have a lot of friends that I've been asking, and they tell me, of course. I mean, for you need to choose the onions from Figueras.
Yeah, my friend told me the same. I didn't know about the onion of Figueras because for me, all the onions were from Figueras when I was a kid.
Well, we will leave it at that, Dídac. It was a pleasure to talk to you as always.
Thanks a lot, Rayde.
I'm very thankful of your time and your friendship, even though we don't meet, that often, especially this year. But we are connected through the DMs, and
that's all great.
And we keep tabs on each other. So thank you very much, and actually, I wish you a lot of health and a lot of continued success, and we'll definitely meet in person soon, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
This episode is brought to you, as always, by The Connect. The Connect is Rayde Luis Baez. Follow the Intersection podcast in your favorite podcasting platform, leave us a review, and share it with a friend. This will really help us be found by more of you interested in the topics of sports marketing and deal making. Until the next one.